I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm hearing every astrologer say that with Venus retrograde in March of 2025, everyone's ex is coming back. And while this is partially true, this is not the only way that Venus retrograde can play out. So in this video, I want to give some clarification on what to exactly expect with Venus retrograde in March of 2025. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabelle, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we are talking about Venus retrograde, which is happening in the sign of Aries and in Pisces, mainly in the month of March in 2025. Venus retrograde began in the sign of Aries on March 1st of 2025, and I'm already hearing a lot of potential misconceptions about it. Meaning that the main thing I hear people focus on is that everyone's ex is coming back and that this is mainly about love. However, this isn't the full story that is playing out with Venus being retrograde. So in this video specifically, I'm going to cover the details and dates of Venus retrograde in 2025, the deeper themes that Venus encompasses, what Venus retrograde really means, and what to do during Venus retrograde. Because in the end, every astrological transit can be used to our benefit, whether that is for introspection or action. They are an invitation for us to maybe move in a certain direction. And Venus retrograde is included in that. And before I dive in, be sure to book a reading in the link in the description below if you want to dive deeper into current transits and your whole astrological birth chart and how these transits affect you. Sky's the limit. Learn more down below. So quick dates and details, first and foremost, about Venus retrograde in 2025, so you know why this is relevant knowledge. Venus stationed retrograde on March 1st in the sign of Aries at specifically 10 degrees of Aries. On March 27th, Venus retrograde will re-enter the sign of Pisces, where it will remain until Venus stations direct on April 12th, and it will transit back through the ground it has already covered twice. Venus will specifically re-enter the sign of Aries on April 30th. So this is energy that we can really feel for all of the month of March, but also going into April, because when Venus goes back through there, it's going to feel like we're retracing our steps, but that is for later in the video. Venus retrograde is also playing a huge role on the energies present in the month of March, especially because this is eclipse season. And if you want to learn more about that, check out my playlist where I covered your horoscope and an overview into the month of March of 2025. So to understand why Venus retrograde may be misunderstood, first we have to talk about Venus and the misconceptions that I hear about Venus. And then again, this is not to throw any astrologers under the bus. I think a lot of astrologers do a great job, but because social media has everyone have to make everything so brief, so many concepts and topics or themes within the planet of Venus get brushed over. And so Venus is now just stereotypically known as the planet of love, right? It's romance, it's flirting, it's dating, it's Aphrodite, it's so fabulous. Really, Venus is not just the planet of our love life. It is our love for life. And so hence why love life is often tied into that, because it's about what brings us a valuable life, a beautiful life, one of pleasure, love, and joy. And so romance is within the themes of Venus, but it is not the core theme. Venus in the end has to do with what we value. It is what we love, what makes us feel loved, what we pursue for a love for life. And so in your natal chart, this applies in the sense that whatever sign your Venus is in tells you what you love and what makes you feel valued and value in your life. But when it comes to transiting Venus, wherever Venus currently transits tells us what we are focusing on valuing, or we are getting insight into the value of certain traits. For example, if Venus is transiting Aries, we are wondering, what if I value more independence? What if I value assertion? What if I value being bold? And yes, this can play out into love life. Maybe we are taking on more of a bold, independent persona in romantic encounters, but this is not always the case, because Venus in the end is not just love life, it is our love for life. And so with this in mind, this is where the common misconception comes about that Venus retrograde is mainly just about your ex coming back or old lovers coming back. Because when Venus is a retrograde, what that means is it's appearingly transiting ground that has already been covered. It looks like the planet is moving backwards from our point on Earth. And so with Venus being retrograde, really what that symbolizes in the end is reflecting on our values, reflecting and revisiting things that give us a love for life. We are assessing our values and revisiting old things that used to give us value. So in that case, yes, Venus retrograde can mean that you or an old partner are reconnecting. Depending on, it could change who is engaging that, so to say. But Venus retrograde also means that we are, simply put, assessing the values that we have established in our life, assessing what is bringing us value in our life and in our love for life and in our love life. And whether or not this dominantly affects your love life could be, in my personal interpretation, dependent upon what house Venus is transiting for you. So based off of your birth chart, Aries will be a certain house in your chart, or maybe 2 houses if you use the Placidus system like I do. If Venus is currently retrograde in your 5th, 7th, or 8th house, it is likely that this can be prioritizing introspection and action and revisiting old people in your love life. But maybe if Venus is transiting your 1st house, you're reflecting on your self-value and your value of your current appearance. If it's in your 2nd house, you're reflecting on the value of how you spend your money and how much love for life that brings you. So Venus retrograde in the end is a reminder to assess what we are valuing and where we are putting our efforts and how that aids us in living a life we love. And this can, again, play out into love life. This could play out as you assessing how your love life affects your self-worth, if it's in your 2nd house, or how your love life affects your family, if it's in your 4th house. But it's not the only interpretation to this. So now, with that clarification being said, how do you utilize Venus retrograde transits to your benefit? I personally recommend during Venus retrograde, in relevance to this Venus retrograde season, with it being retrograde in the 1st degrees of Aries and in Pisces, I recommend that you first and foremost look to the house in which it is transiting. Once you figure out where this is affecting your life, you can put it into action and use it to your benefit. But regardless, with all of us, Venus retrograde in Aries and in Pisces is having us assess the value of being independent, assertive, and bold in certain areas of our life, and also the value of being gentle, compassionate, empathetic. This really does bring to contrast the difference between tough love and gentle love or unconditional love. Being hard on people and assertive and not letting boundaries be crossed, and also being maybe a pushover, but also compassionate, empathetic, welcoming, forgiving. We're finding that balance between tough love and soft love during this Venus retrograde in a certain area of life. And this could play out in regards to tough love and soft love to ourselves or towards others. And so during this Venus retrograde season, I recommend you look at where this is affecting you based off of the house and ask yourself, what values are currently taking place here? What values am I acting in alignment with? Based off of what I'm doing, what am I valuing? And what brings me true value? Venus retrograde can also be a very good time to revisit things or people potentially who bring you value or at one point brought you value. In a simple sense, I'm going to use a dangerous, so to say, interpretation here. I ran into my ex-boyfriend yesterday, and it definitely brought up the feelings of, I remember what I used to value in this relationship during Venus retrograde. Did I think I wanted to go and be back in a relationship with him? No. But did it bring to light what it is I currently value versus what I used to value? Yes. And did this help me understand what maybe I want to incorporate more into my life and what I want to release? Also, yes. Venus retrograde can help us see the relativity of what it is we idealistically value versus what we're actually valuing. So my recommendation during this Venus retrograde period from March really through April is to assess what you're valuing and use maybe your old love relationships if that's what's coming up, or simply put, use it as a time to observe what it is you are valuing whether that is through the lens of your love life or not, because it doesn't always have to play out as a love life encounter. So let me know in the comments below, did this video clarify a few things for you about Venus retrograde, and were my tips practical and helpful, or could I have made this a little bit more practical and helpful? My brain's a little foggy today, and so I know that I was a little messy in that interpretation, but in the end, hopefully I provided some helpful information on Venus retrograde. Let me know in the comments below. What is coming up for you during this Venus retrograde? We're really only 4 days into it, but is anything coming up for you? Has an old lover shown up? Have you had a assessment of values? Do you feel less of a desire to go out and spend lots of money? Do you feel something else coming up? Let me know in the comments below. Let us know how Venus retrograde is affecting you. Let us know if you have any other additional tips you would provide. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. If there's something specific you want to see, let me know in the comments below. I know I got a request for cusp birthday interpretations, and those will hopefully be coming soon as I finish up another video series I'm working on. Once again, my name's Isabelle. Thanks for watching, and from my heart to yours, namaste.